Yeah. And then if someone could just pop me a thumbs up, Nikki, Meg, or Nat, I can see you guys. Can you see it? Cool. Wonderful, guys. So stay motivated and thriving through winter. I know I've had a couple of questions on whether I'm running. Nikki, I think you asked me it today and I forgot to reply to you, but it's just sparked. I've just remembered now asking me if I'm doing a consistency over Christmas call. I will be doing that. So I will be doing that next month. So don't worry. So this isn't about the Christmas element. This is just stay motivated and thriving through winter. So how to beat the slump and keep making progress. We've got quite a lot to cover today. Um, some stuff that I've talked about, some things that I haven't. As we all know, motivation usually dives during winter. Winter is one of my favorite times when it comes to training, but that is because I get to bulk. So, but I know that's not the case for everybody. So we'll go through like the different elements. Now, in terms of what I'm covering today, path of least resistance, top 1% and choosing the harder path. Winter motivation check-in, the science of winter slump, light, hormones and energy, evolutionary and biological reasons why we slow down, mental and environmental impact, so things like SAD. Um, yeah, Nikki. If anyone needs a cake doing, Nikki will probably hate me for saying this. Nikki does very good cakes. That's what she's doing at the moment. And you've got very good willpower, Nikki, and you're always decorating cakes not to eat them, but I'll be speaking to you about that later. SAD, dopamine and cravings, motivation versus discipline and why consistency wins, neurotransmitters and habit formation for automatic success, winter routines, structure and energy optimization, and a hot seat. So hopefully you'll all take something away from this. Obviously, 90% of you guys on here are being coached by me, so you'll know the crack. I know there's a couple that aren't. And if you have got any questions, obviously, I'm pretty sure all you guys who are not being coached from me will have my number on WhatsApp because I sent you the Zoom link. So, the path of least resistance, what do I mean by this? So, humans are hardwired for energy efficiency. So, this is something that we are hardwired to do. And this is basically a survival strategy. So, our brain is constantly seeking low effort, high reward behaviors. Now, this is something that is ingrained in us. This isn't something that, we obviously develop bad habits, but we either strengthen this process or we weaken it. So these are things like sitting, eating high calorie foods, and scrolling social media. It's very easy for us all to do this, and it doesn't require a lot of effort. Modern environment has also amplified this. So things like food abundance. So, we fancy a pizza. Most of us could have a pizza at our door in 10 minutes. We fancy some chocolate. We could go out the shop and get some chocolate. These food is not hard to access for most people. And usually that food is highly palatable. Also, a sedentary lifestyle is quite normalized. Pretty much everyone here works long hours, mostly desk-based jobs, and there's instant gratification everywhere. So taking the easy path isn't laziness, it's biology. So your brain wants to save energy and feel rewarded quickly. That is something that your brain wants. So the path of least resistance is easy. So there's less resistance for you to take that behavior. And I know I've got a big coaching on habits and routines, and I talk a lot about this because taking the path of the hardest resistance is obviously harder, but that is what is going to get as a result. So just understanding that it is a survival strategy, it's the way that we are wired, and there's nothing inherently wrong with us. It's just a way of conserving energy and survival of the fittest. So when we're looking at the cost of the easy path, so what is the cost of the easy path? There's a couple of statistics in here. I know everyone loves the statistics, so do I. So currently there's just under 65% of adults that are aged 18 above that are overweight or obese in the UK. 65%. So that means that, statistically speaking, 65% of your friends and family are. So when we're thinking about this, and I think it's really hard, especially when I've been on a fat loss journey, you've probably all heard it before, or you might have not, where people are, oh, are you stop losing weight, you're losing too much weight, or you're too obsessed, are you actually tracking all your food, oh, I couldn't be bothered to do that. And everyone around you, not everybody, but a lot of people don't understand it. And statistically, a lot of people around you will not be in a fit and healthy position. So 1 in 3 adults don't meet minimum physical activity guidelines. And to put that into perspective, what that means is 30 minutes a week of exercise. So if you're thinking that, if you're thinking statistically, if we think we're doing 3 workouts a week, the statistics would be just off the scale. So if you're doing 3 workouts a week and doing over like 6,000 steps a day, you're probably in the top 10% of the population. Um, Mental health, again, this is statistic, but I think it's worse than this. One in five adults experience depression or anxiety annually linked to sedentary behaviour, so directly linked to lack of movement, one in five. And sedentary lifestyle, as we know, increases the risk of heart disease, diabetes, metabolic issues, and low energy. So that is the easy path, and we could all do that quite easily if we wanted to. So, normalization of the easy path, like I mentioned when it comes to social circles, society makes the easy path look normal. So, laziness is quite normal, and doing anything apart from that is seen as extreme. So, marketing and social media promote comfort, convenience, and indulgence. Work culture encourages sedentary habits, quick meals, and late nights, and peer pressure reinforces lower effort behavior. So, everyone's skipping the gym, it's fine. Everyone's getting a takeaway, it's fine. Normal isn't healthy. So, what people do on a normal day to day is still not healthy. It's simply what most people do. So, understanding this helps you make a conscious choices rather than blindly following the crowd. And I actually thought about this morning when I was in the gym. And again, I've I'll talk about structure and routine in a second and go on to that and how I've changed my structure and routine. But I was in the gym this morning about 6:30, and there wasn't another female in the gym. There was not other, I didn't see a single female from 6:30 this morning till 8 o'clock this morning. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everyone's training in the morning, but there's like 25,000 people that live between me and the gym. I'm the only female in that gym, and there's not a lot of gyms around where I live. And it should give you a feeling of like you're pushing above the norm and pushing above the rest. So when you're doing things that are not that are people aren't doing, it should spur you on and motivate you. And that's how I see it. I'm like, people are sleeping now, and I'm pushing closer towards my goals. So you do have to be not normal to be better. And I just want you all to be aware of that, because I know it's hard, especially when you get into the social times coming in. Everyone's wanting to go out drinking every weekend. Not for everybody, but I know like my social circle is heavily involved around going out for meals and drinking. And I'm not saying you can't do that, but if you blindly follow the crowd, you will not get to your result. And it's as simple as that. Um, so just as a little interactive thing, like rate, because I just want to know where everyone's sitting at the moment, but rate your current motivation out of 10 in the chart, like where you currently feel, how motivated do you feel? And I know everyone's got different goals, but just to give me an idea of where everyone's sitting. Oh, 6, 7, 4, 7, 5, 6. Oh, Laura 2 to 3. I'm guessing that's Nikki 8, Holly 7, Meg 8, Al 8, Leah 3, Kerry 7. Georgia. I mean, I'm not making any, I'm not just pointing this out, but my clients are a lot more motivated than the non-clients on the call, and that's all I'm going to say. No, but I've really mixed bag here, and this is completely normal. Now, um, I was thinking this as well. This other coach posted on Instagram, and she wrote, "This is the first gym session that I've enjoyed in 3 weeks," and she's a professional bodybuilder, and she was like, "If I only went to the gym when I felt like it, and I've trained once in 3 weeks." And that is someone who does it for a living. And I thought, God, that's so true. And I think another thing is when it comes to motivation levels, and we've got a mixed bag tonight, which is good, is that waiting to feel motivated, as we know, you will do very, very little when you're waiting to feel motivated. There's very rarely, I mean, right now I'd probably rate myself a 7 or an 8, but there's certainly weeks where I'm a 2. And understanding that motivation isn't linear, like you're not going to have a consistent amount of motivation is really important. And understanding as well that everyone's motivation is so, so different. Um, when it comes to coaching clients, and I've obviously coached hundreds of people now, hundreds of women, motivation doesn't correlate to results. So, like, I could have a client who's really struggling with the motivation, but is still ticking the boxes. I could have a client who's really highly motivated, but not ticking the boxes. It's not relative. Um, and the biggest difference is the women that tick the boxes when the motivation is low, because motivation comes from a result. That is the main driver of motivation. And a lot of the time when I'm speaking to clients on consultation calls and the motivation is rock bottom, and I know that because I'll ask them, and I say, "How long have you been stuck for?" And they're like, "3 years." It's usually the clients that are stuck for the longest and the motivation dwindles. And once you start getting a result, it increases your motivation. So to increase your motivation, you need to get a result. To get a result, you need to tick the boxes. Otherwise, you're just going to end up on this hamster wheel. Um, but thank you for sharing that. So, the science of the winter slump, why does this happen? Because it happens to most people. I'd very rarely say someone gets into October and they're like, oh my God, I feel amazing now I'm in October. I can't wait for November. Like, come on, like it doesn't happen. But if we're talking about biology, because you'll know me by now, if it's not science backed, I don't believe it. The main one is less sunlight. So less sunlight equals less serotonin, which is your feel good hormone, and that regulates mood and motivation. Reduced light exposure increases your melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, and that's going to make you feel tired earlier. Then you're going to have a disrupted circadian rhythm, so your internal clock is going to start drifting later, so that's going to make it harder to wake up and harder to feel energized. Colder weather reduces NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which means you subconsciously move less. So that is things that you can't control. Now, this is very obvious to me. Like I'm sometimes that cold, I don't want to move. Like, and I know it's stupid because we know movement's going to warm us up, but subconsciously, it's your brain, your body trying to conserve the energy to keep us warm, to keep us alive. Because at one point in life, cold would kill us. Yeah. So it's all these little things that happen subconsciously. And there's so many aspects of this which then do affect our ability to perform. But I'm going to go through some strategies and how you manage this. But biologically, this is why it's happening to us all of some degree. So daylight reduces, movement reduces, serotonin reduces, melatonin increases, and cravings increase. Um, and that is hell when you're on a fat loss journey. That's why ideally I like to get my clients in a reverse diet when it gets to October so we can work with our body, not against it. But for some of you, you'll still be in fat loss, and that is the sake of it. So when you try to move more and do more, but then everything's working against you, it feels a lot harder, but it doesn't mean that progress is impossible. So what can we do? If you take away anything from this today, guys, let it be this. This will, I'm not saying solve all your problems, but probably solve a lot of them. Light exposure before 10 a.m., natural light exposure. It doesn't need to be sunny. And I covered this on the sleep, stress, and routine coaching call. Natural light looks is going to help suppress melatonin. So you've got to think about it. If you think about it logically, guys, melatonin's increased because of the darkness, because your body's telling you to go to sleep. When you wake up and you're feeling groggy and you're feeling slow, to suppress that melatonin, you need to see the light, because then your body then realizes, no, I'm awake, it's not sleep time. So it's going to suppress melatonin, which is often too high in winter, so we need to suppress it. It's going to boost serotonin production, improve mood, motivation, and appetite regulation. So your appetite will not be regulated if you are not seeing natural sunlight. You'll just want to eat, 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 eat. It's going to realign your circadian rhythm, so it's going to give you a more consistent sleep and wake cycle. And even on cloudy days, outdoor light is 10 to 50 times stronger than indoor lighting. Even when it's cloudy, yeah? You have to get your face in that light. Result is going to be more energy in the morning, better sleep at night, and reduce cravings. The earlier you can do this, the better. So like at the moment, obviously I'm going to the gym when it's dark, but when I leave the gym, it's starting to get light, and I will walk around the car park a couple of times before I get in the car, because it's sick. Obviously my body should be awake anyway, I've just trained, but it's really signaling to my body, right, this is morning, you need to be awake. And then I come back, I'm really highly energized and I can be highly productive. If you can do it with a walk, perfect. If you can walk at the same time. So I know it's hard, but getting out, getting your shoes on. Before I was training in the mornings last winter, I just get up in my PJs, go down, put my coat on, put my shoes on, and just take my dog around for 10 minutes and just try get some natural light. This will be one of the best things that you can do to get out of the winter slump. What you can do, which I've also got, which I can't find it because I think it's upstairs, is a light therapy lamp. I think I got this for about 30, 40 quid off Amazon. It's 10,000 lux, and you plug it in. And sometimes if I've not trained in the morning, I'm not going to get out for a walk, I'll plug this in next to my computer. So you got one, Charlotte, Illumi. I don't even know what mine's called. I think mine's just an Amazon cheap one. But They're really, really good. So it's going to mimic the blue light wavelengths of morning sunlight. I actually know a lot about light 'cause I used to work in lighting manufacturing for a short period of time. Architectural lighting, about all the looks and things like that. I won't get into it. I won't bore you all with it. But the light indoors is completely different to the light of sunlight. Like it doesn't give you the same effect. So something like this is great. It's used clinically to help things like SAD. It's going to boost serotonin and dopamine pathways. It's going to improve your mood and motivation, and it's going to help regulate melatonin production so you're less groggy throughout the day. 20 to 30 minutes. You don't need it up close to you. You can just have it next to you or whatever. It's going to improve focus, reduce low mood, and fewer I can't be bothered days. Use it first thing in the morning, place 50 centimeters from face. Outdoor light is going to be better than this guy still. I still believe natural sunlight or natural light is going to be better, but this is just a nice to have. It's not an essential. If you're waking up in the morning, you've not gone out for sunlight, don't start going and buying loads of things trying to help you. Just get out first and give that a go for a couple of weeks. But this is a great option and relatively cheap. Um, Keep a consistent sleep awake time within 30 minutes daily. I know this is hard, guys, and I know everyone loves these big sleep-ins on a weekend. And I don't think there's a client that I don't bang on about sleep routine at least once every fortnight because you're all shit. Why is everyone going to bed at midnight? What are you doing? Like, um, sleep wake routine. I know it's hard. If you're not in a sleep wake routine, go watch a sleep stress and routine video, please. This is crucially important. Binge watching TV, that's right. Nikki, I can't really complain about you because you have done very well, but the binge watching at night will be affecting your quality of sleep. I don't know how you've got so much muscle. Um, Carrie's put, I think it's the most productive habit she's learned on Elevate. Brilliant. So if you've not watched that training or you want to go repeat that training, go watch it. But sleep wake cycle is very important. It helps stabilize, and I've been practicing this word to say it to you guys, but I probably can't pronounce it. But super charismatic nucleus, which is your body clock. So we all need to worry about body clock. It's going to reduce cortisol spikes, which is a stress hormone, and daytime fatigue. Predictable sleep equals better hormone regulation around appetite and energy. Scattered sleep is going to increase your cravings and decrease motivation. Higher daytime energy, easy to stick to routines, and especially avoid weekend sleep-ins. They're worse than the winter slump. I know it's hard, guys. I know it's shit, but just get yourself out of bed. Even if you get yourself out of bed and go lay on the sofa, just get yourself out of that bed. Try and keep it within 30 minutes every single day. You cannot be staying up till midnight one night and then sleeping in another night. And I'll see it a lot when my long-term clients will do the time strategy calls. Sorry, do their time scheduling calls. And then on a Thursday, it'll be like, oh, I'll get up at 8. And then on like a Friday, we get up at 6. And like, oh, well, I work from home on Thursday, so I can sleep in. It's problematic because if you're sleeping in, you're going to wake up later you're going to go to bed later that evening, and it's going to make getting up on Friday really hard. And this is why loads of people struggle on a Monday to get up because they've stayed up late all weekend and they've had big sleeps in. So try and keep it within 30 minutes every single day. Um, I've mentioned this loads of times. I'm not a morning person. I don't think I ever will be. But past couple of months, I've been getting up at 4:45. And when I first did it, it was brutal because obviously I wasn't falling asleep till like 10, 11 o'clock and I was sleep deprived. Within literally a week, it would get to 8 p.m. and I was so tired, I was fighting it. So I'd fall asleep and then I'd still get 8 hours and wake up. And then it means I can get the gym in before my day's work because there's just, as we all know, not enough hours to fit everything in the day, but you can completely change your sleep routine. That's why I'm in my PJs because I need to go to bed after this. Um, Morning movement, even 5 to 10 minute counts, it will increase your dopamine. It will increase your mood and motivation surge. It's going to warm the body, which is going to signal daytime activation. It's going to improve your insulin sensitivity, which is going to cause fewer sugar crashes. It's going to create a psychological win early and it snowballs into more healthy actions. Result less sluggish, more alert, more likely to follow through on workouts. A mobility flow, a walk, climbing your stairs, dancing to a song. I don't care. But when we have slept for hopefully 7 to 8 hours, the last thing you want to do is come downstairs, plow yourself with coffee on an empty stomach, and then sit in front of a screen for 8 hours and then complain you can't lose fat. Yeah. So we need to get the system moving in the morning. So even a little bit really does help. I found training in the morning life changing because the problem I was having before, of doing the brief little walk, coming back, working, getting a meal in, going to the gym, coming back, working, getting a walk in. And then I was working really late every night because I had so many gaps in the day. And obviously, it's hard because being self-employed and I realistically could go to the gym whenever I wanted in the day. It's very hard to get myself to get to that gym at 5:30, but it makes my day so much easier. So if you can do it, I know a lot of people have kids, try. Because someone that's not a morning person can do it. Spoke about this before. Vitamin D supplementation. Winter sunlight is not strong enough for vitamin D production in the UK. Simple as that. We're not going to get enough vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is linked to fatigue, low mood, increased body fat storage, and a weaker immune system. That's why we get ill as well in the winter. Result, improved mood, energy, metabolic health. A standard winter dose is 1,000 to 4,000 IU a day, unless instructed otherwise. I'm not a pharmacist. If you take this and get any side effects, this is just a disclaimer that is not my fault. Um, but yeah, you can supplement. I like D3 and K2. There's loads of different ones. I get asked about supplements all the time. I try not recommend too much, but I really like the company British Supplements. If you look at their website, it talks about boycotting all the high farmers, and they've got really clean supplements with no fillers. Personally, I would avoid things like Holland and Barrett and places like that. But do your own research. Don't let me be the conspiracy theorist of the evening. But yeah, vitamin D where possible. Be honest with you guys, I don't really supplement vitamin D. I use get plenty with my diet and my routine helps me still get vitamin D. This is like, again, we don't want to just plow ourselves with vitamin D and then be like, oh, we don't need to go on a walk or see sunlight. Sunlight's always going to be the best. Nat's put Nutrition Geeks on Amazon. Cool. Have great vitamin D with K2 on Amazon. Wonderful. So Nat's got a little suggestion there. What have we got up next? So, evolutionary background and why are we wired to slow down? I couldn't find why is there not like a monkey or an ape going into a woman? It's always the man, isn't it? Like I tried just to find a picture for that. But anyway, um, it's ancestral biology. So historically, winter equals scarcity. So there's going to be low food, cold, and humans are evolved to conserve energy. Body increases appetite hormones, which is your ghrelin, and lowers satiety hormones, which is your leptin in colder, darker months. So that basically means naturally our appetite is heightening and the feeling of fullness is diminishing. Your brain interprets darkness as survival mode. So it's going to start storing more fat. And you crave carbohydrates because they increase serotonin. Carbs increase serotonin, so it's going to increase that comfort feeling. And the drive to hibernate isn't weakness, it's adaptation. So knowing why it's happening, I think is really important because you can say to yourself, look, this is my cravings, this is my ghrelin, it's not actually me, and this is why it's happening. And it helps you manage it a little bit better rather than just thinking, God, I'm just out of control and I've got no willpower and everything's shit, which is not. Um, our body thinks it's helping you survive winter, not sabotaging your fitness. Work with your biology, not against it. Plan meals and snacks strategically. Do not rely on willpower. And keep strength training, muscle retention, because muscle retention signals your body to maintain a metabolism. I mean, I could go on about strength training for the next 10 hours, but it is going to, like it says here, signal your body to maintain its metabolism, not slow your metabolism down, which is what it's trying to do in winter. And having a decent foundation of muscle mass is the only way to prevent that. So, and you're not going to build that through classes or cardio, you need strength training. So, mental and emotional impact, seasonal affective disorder. It says 1 in 5. I think it's 5 out of 5. Like, find me a happy person. No, I'm kidding, but I do think it's higher. It is caused by a lack of light, serotonin and dopamine imbalance, and symptoms are low energy, irritability, cravings, loss of interest, and oversleeping. So there's a couple of ways that I've given you today already that are going to help massively reduce the impact of that happening. Um, Mental and emotional impact, so dopamine and motivation. So dopamine is motivation, focus, and drive, and reduced sunlight is going to give you less dopamine activity, and things feel like meh or a lot of effort. Scrolling and social media gives us short-term dopamine spikes, but worsens long-term motivation. So it's a perfect time to create a reward system. The last thing that you want to do is get hooked to sitting and scrolling your social media for hours on an evening just to get that constant hits of dopamine. It's going to make motivation quite hard. Um, Routine, structure, and environment. So this is the best thing that you can do when it comes to winter. Plan, plan, plan. So routine is going to stabilize your circadian rhythm, which is going to help with steadier energy levels. Structure is going to lower decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is like the number one thing that I think keeps people stuck. And I could talk for an hour about decision fatigue. But that is basically where we have got too many decisions that we are making in a day, which is making it overwhelming. So if you're waking up every day and opening the fridge, and I'm sure a lot of Elevate clients don't do this because you'll know now with the planning that we do, but if you're opening the fridge and going, oh, what shall I have for breakfast? How am I going to hit 30 grams of protein? And then you come home from a long day at work, it's six, half six, and you think, oh, what am I going to cook for tea? That is chaotic and it's going to create decision fatigue. Same when it comes to your gym training. You need to know what set days you are training and you stick to those days because the whole idea of mentally in your head gets to Wednesday, oh, I can't really be asked, I'm going to move it to Thursday, gets to Thursday, oh, can I squeeze a workout in? And you're thinking all the time about all these things. Like in my head, my rest days are Wednesday and Sunday. I don't even think about it. If I don't want to go to the gym on Tuesday, I don't really give myself a chance to think about it. I'll probably just tell myself I don't like it while I'm driving there. And in my head, knowing that rest is coming up on Wednesday and a rest is coming up on Sunday, I can relax. Whereas if you're not structured, you can't enjoy your rest days because you sit there feeling guilty that you've not gone to the gym. Ridiculous. So reduce the decision fatigue in your life, when it comes to obviously your structure of your training, your work sleep routine, what you're eating. Obviously, if you coach by me, this is a lot easier because we do this together. But you need to free up willpower. You need to stop relying on willpower and just have the decisions already made for you. And then you're not having to make the decision. You just do it. And it ends up becoming on autopilot. Predictability reduces stress hormone cortisol. So it reduces your stress as well. So key habits to anchor your day: morning light and movement, planned meals, scheduled training times, and evening wind down. No phone, low light. So structure, structure, structure. Um, this is my structure. So this is what I follow. This is on my notes app. I've just copied it for you so you can see. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. I've got this on my phone every day, just in my notes app. I created a little table. You guys can do this as well. I know we've got the Google Sheets time scheduling. I just find this a bit easier on my phone. And then I tick it off when it's completed. And this is how structured you want to be. So it doesn't always go to plan, obviously. Like today, for example, I didn't get my post 3 meal steps in because a client wanted a consultation call. So I prioritized getting her in. But just to give you an idea, and you can do something similar for whatever way works for you. I try and schedule it every 15 to 30 minutes. So wake up, 5:15, pre-workout M1, just means meal one. Drive to the gym, get home, post-workout meal two, work block. So 4 hour work block. And then I'll go to meal three, post-meal three steps, because we know that walking after your food aids your digestion. 1:15 is work block two. Meal four at 5:15. 5:45 is post 4 meal steps. 6:15 is shower. 6:45 is meal five. 7 p.m. is unwind. And I've got 2 blissful hours to do what I want before I go to sleep. Unless I've got a coaching call like I do this evening. So like I said, it's not always going to run to schedule. So tomorrow I might wake up a little bit later. However, I'm fitting in 8 hours sleep. I'm fitting in all my training. I'm eating 5 meals a day. I'm hitting 10K steps. I'm still working for 8 hours a day. And it's all fit in. What you don't see on there is cooking because I'm meal prepping, I'm getting things organized, food shopping, house chores, things like that. Mainly try and do those in and amongst. Like, so sometimes rather than doing post 4 meal steps, I might vacuum my house. So it can be chopped and changed. But if you're not going into your day with any type of structure and you're waking up when you want and you're eating when you want and you're training when you want, you're not going to do what you need to do. You have to be structured. And I know it's hard. It's certainly hard for me because I've always just been a bit reactive, not proactive. But if I did not do this, I simply wouldn't be able to coach as many people that I do coach. You have to be strict with your time. So for you guys on long-term coaching, you'll have the Google Sheets. You can do this in your notes app. The traditional way that I used to do it was do the appointment calendar, which I've taught to you guys before, where the only problem is they usually start from like 7 a.m. do the appointment calendars to about 8 p.m. So it just misses off a couple of hours of my time. But do this and tick it off as you go and really try and get in a structure. And before you know it, you'll be doing these things on autopilot. And then even with the eating, so like with my eating at 5:15, 7:45, I'm eating again at 12:30, I'm eating again at 5:45, I'm eating again at 6:45, my body knows when it's going to get fed. And it's going to metabolize food very well because I'm not just going 8 hours without feeding and without eating and getting so hungry. Creating structure and routine, even with the meal timings, is so crucially important. And that is a big reason why, if you're in prison, you've got, not that I'm suggesting everyone goes to prison to lose fat, but they did a big study on this, and prisoners who train, and one reason why they can get in really good shape, even if nutrition isn't ideal, is because they eat the same quantity of food at the same time every day. So obviously they've got to eat a certain amount of carbs, fats, just as human rights and calories. And because their meal times are so consistent, it makes the body very metabolically active. So we can all do that without having to go to prison to do it. Yeah. So meal timings. Do not leave it up to chance. And yes, it's not always going to be perfect, but I'm never getting hungry because of the longest I've got between like meals is like 4 hours. Yeah. So my body's going to constantly be very insulin sensitive, which we want. Winter anchor routine. What I'd like everyone to do, we'll just start with the first one. Again, write it in there if you already do it, that's fine. But I want everyone to commit to something that they're going to start implementing in the morning moving forward. So just start with the morning. It can be anything that you want, but something that, because when you write it down psychologically, it's going to be more likely you're going to do it. Something that you're going to start implementing in the morning that's going to help you through winter. Meg's put steps. Yeah. Stretching, fun, free time. Absolutely, Charlotte. Stretching, walk. Yeah. Steps and sunlight, fresh air. Yeah. Yeah, no fun as soon as you wake. This is, yeah, even with your stretching as well, forget, because that's a great one you can do in the morning. Just do it near a window. Like, you're still going to get that light. But it's good that you're all committed to these. And then in an evening, so things like reading, candlelight, herbal teas, like creating a bit of a shutdown routine. What you really need, again, write it in the chat if you want to share it, but you need something that is um obvious that your body's ready to shut off. Like this is it now. So for me, like shutting the laptop and then I'll make myself a chamomile tea, my brain then knows there's no more work happening, and it allows for melatonin to start. I know a lot of you work late and open the laptops and sit on your phone. So what's something that you're going to be able to do to start that evening and make your body aware it's the evening now? Lower the lights, herbal tea. Write it down because you're more likely to do it. Yeah, reading's a good one. Reading, yeah. Everyone's putting reading. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So bad though, because like I love reading. I get to like one page and I'm like, bang, I'm gone. And then the next night I have to read that page again because I just forgot what's happened. It makes me so tired. Salt lamp's great. Tea, yeah. Wonderful. And then self-care. Yeah, self-care can, I don't know about you guys, but self-care pretty much goes out the window for me in winter. I'm like, oh, I don't need to shave my legs for 6 months. Brilliant. Like I can just put a bobble hat on and don't wash my hair. Like um it just goes down the pan, doesn't it? But I think you all need to make a very conscious effort with your self-care because when you feel like you look like shit, you do perform worse in the gym. So I feel like doing something on a weekend to make yourself feel better. So committing to self-care. I mean, winter, a beautiful time. Get a lovely bath with a bath bomb. Wash your hair. I know it sounds like I'm just telling you how to keep basic hygiene, but I feel like you end up just feeling rubbish. Like I went to take my joggers off in the gym today and I was like, I can't. I was like, because, my leg hair's an inch long. I was like, I need to sort this out. And that's what happens. And then over time you slowly start falling out yourself. So I'm not asking you to write it, guys, but just think of something, one thing on a weekend that makes you feel good about yourself. Everyone's is going to be different. Slap a layer of false tan on. I love doing that in winter. It can soon suddenly prep you up. But committing to doing something on a weekend to make yourself feel good because when you feel good, you perform well. Um, Everyone's different. I like putting a little bit of makeup on before the gym just because I don't want to look in the mirror and be horrified and then be in a mood and want to go home. Makes me feel better about myself. Do what you think is going to make you feel better about yourself. So start thinking about a winter anchor routine, something to start your day and something to finish your day. Set a time for both of those things and stick to it. And if you want me to put it in your habits and routines, if you're a client, you think, right, I want to do that, we can set it up as a habit so you can have the accountability to be doing it as well. So, nutrition and energy optimization. So, why does appetite increase? Cold equals increased thermogenesis. So, that basically means when you're cold, your body's constantly trying to heat up. That's actually burning calories, but it's also then increasing the demand for calories. Your body wants more food. Yeah, so you burn more calories in winter because your body's trying to keep warm. Your carb cravings are going to be serotonin seeking behavior. Comfort foods is going to be dopamine release and warmth. And deficiency in vitamin D, B12, and omega-3s can worsen fatigue as well. So there's lots of things going on which makes it a little bit harder. Nutrition and energy optimization again, so practical tips. Protein and fiber for every single meal. I know I'm probably telling you the obvious, but swap summer salads for soups, stews, curries. Use slow cookers to reduce effort fatigue. Add spices, so things like turmeric, chili, and ginger. They're thermogenic and they're also going to boost your mood. Supplement vitamin D. Stay hydrated. I know it's hard when it's winter and it's cold. Everyone drinks less water. Please, please, please try to stay hydrated. I'm probably drinking like close to 4 liters at the moment just because I want to make sure that there's no dehydration that is offsetting my fatigue. Um, Dehydration causes fatigue. You'll all know that anyway if you've done the metabolism coaching call, which you should have done on here client wise. So make sure you're staying absolutely hydrated. I know it's hard and sometimes you don't feel thirsty, but make a consistent effort to do so. Um, if there's any winter comfort meals that anyone wants to pop in the chat that they want to eat, but then they don't want to eat because they feel like it's going to derail them, pop them in the chat and I'll give you some alternatives. Yeah, slow cooker. I absolutely love slow cooker. Also, like what I love doing in winter is obviously getting loads of like sweet potato, onions, garlic, things like that, chopping them all up, putting them on the bottom of your slow cooker, and just buy a massive joint of beef. And then just hot water and a bit of stock. And then obviously it's beautiful. But then you've got ready cooked beef that you can put in like pastas, stews, things throughout the whole week. And it's so, so easy. And just get a big kilo joint. And it's very cost effective as well. So that's what I like to do. Noodle dishes with miso, yeah, and plenty of veggies and protein, yeah. Veg soups, yeah, just add a source of protein. Even for like a quick meal, if you're in that situation where you've got nothing to eat, I used to love just getting a tin soup and don't make a habit of this because tin soups aren't great for you. But then getting some shredded chicken and just adding a source of protein in it. Do you know if I've been really under the cush for time? But soups are like going to be your best friend. Chilies, spag balls, curries. Get the slow cookers out. If you've not got one, invest in one. They'll be your best friend. And do your meal preps in them as well. So I'll just put a slow cooker like chili on a Sunday and then it's kind of done for the week. So have food that you're going to look forward to. Yeah, don't want people pushing chicken and broccoli around the plate. Winter wins is summer ease. Remember this, guys. The harder you make your life now, the easier it's going to be in summer. I talked about this on Instagram today because obviously we get all the January starters, which I know I'm gonna get. It's same thing every year. But January's still gonna be cold. It's still gonna be dark. There's still gonna be food around you. There's still gonna be people wanting to go out drinking. I don't know why everybody thinks as soon as they get to January they're gonna have this big hit of motivation. If you're gonna make a January's New Year's resolution and you've done so for the last 2 years or more and you're still sat in the same position or worse than last year, I'm sorry to break it to you, but New Year's resolutions aren't working. Yeah? When you're doing things in October, November, December that are hard, summer is just going to be, you're just going to fly through it. Not put nothing worse than gym in January. Honestly, tell me about it. I was a personal trainer for many years and Jesus Christ, like I'd never go back to those days. If you're not in the gym currently and you want to get confident in the gym, November's December is the time to do it because there's no one there. There was no one there this morning for me. So it's a great time to build your confidence. But consistent training maintains muscle mass, which is going to be a higher metabolism, obviously. Consistent nutrition is going to prevent overeating and fat gain, and a smaller deficit is needed in summer. Hopefully, you won't be needing to go on fat loss for that long. But if you can do a fat loss journey at Christmas, and if you can do a fat loss journey over December, spring is just going to be a walk in the park, and it's just going to feel like butterflies and rainbows. So do the hard things now, and it makes the other things easier. Habits formed in winter are going to be automatic in spring. and there's going to be less mental effort to diet or train because it's just going to be easier. Your body's going to adapt more gradually. There's going to be less rebound and less frustration. And every day you stick to your habits now is a step closer to effortless summer results. You're stacking small wins while others are waiting for motivation to strike. Yeah, so just think about that. Why discipline trumps motivation? We know this anyway, but motivation is always going to be temporary. We know this. Some days it's going to be 10, sometimes it's going to be zero. We really don't know. Motivation is a dopamine spike in response to reward cues. So it's always going to be short-lived. Winter is low daylight, dopamine and serotonin drops, which is going to cause a lack of motivation. Discipline is a consistent behavior despite fluctuating neurotransmitters and they build habitual neural pathways. And that's why I say training days where possible, because my brain just knows that Monday, Tuesday are training days. Like I'm not giving myself the opportunity to talk myself out of it because it's just going to screw me over. I know rest day is coming on Wednesday, so it allows my brain, right, the rest day is coming, just train for them 2 days. We want to create autopilot habits, which happens over repeat behaviors. People struggle to get into a routine because they go full in one week and then they drop off the face of the earth the next week. It's never going to be a habitual routine. The only way to be habitual is to do it consistently, and eventually you won't think about it. Yeah, and you'll probably have all noticed that in some form of habit or other, whether it be like itching to get out of a walk or your hydration. There'll be something that really does stick now, and you'll never go back to how you used to do it. Habit formation in the brain. So repeated actions create basal ganglia pathways, which is basically your brain's automates behavior. So I kind of explain this like learning to drive is the best example. So like if you drive to work every day and you know it's the third exit on your roundabout and you could drive to work with your eyes closed, sometimes you might get to work and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even remember that journey. And it's because your brain has literally repeated that path so many times that it doesn't need to think about it. It's an automated behavior. And that's what we want to create with our lifestyle. The prefrontal cortex, which is the decision making, creates less thinking required over time. So less decisions. Dopamine is released during cue routine reward loops, which is going to reinforce the habit. So the more you scroll, the more you scroll. The more you sit, the more you sit. Yeah, you're just strengthening these behaviors and you're making it harder over time. And this is what I like to say to myself when I don't want to go on a walk. I don't want to do something. All right, well, if you don't go for a walk, it's just going to strengthen the ability to not go for a walk. So you do this every day for a week. Next week's going to be really hard for you. And I talk to myself like that because I'm just strengthening bad behaviors. If you go for a walk, it's going to be easy to go for a walk next week if you do it all day this week and it's cold because your body's just basically strengthened the prefrontal cortex. It's like we can't even control it, guys. This is just the brain. So cue, routine, reward, which is the classic habit loop. So morning light, cue, 10-minute walk, routine, energy boost is your reward. And then your brain's going to want to go on the walk because it knows it's going to get endorphins. If you really struggle with things, for example, like, right, I'm not going to have my morning coffee before I get in from my walk, that's going to be my reward. And then your neurotransmitters in your brain are going to go, right, well, I want a coffee, so I need to go on a walk. And it's going to make the walk easier. Yeah. It's like, right, do all your workouts for a month and then you buy yourself a new gym outfit. Don't just buy yourself stuff and do things for yourself all the time without actually making a cue to it. It's like self-manipulation. You know, if you want something, right, I want a new slow cooker or an air fryer. Cool. Well, if I, do all my meal preps this week, I'm going to get it. And you start rewarding yourself with good behaviors. You know, we train dogs and kids like that. We need to train ourselves like that. It's just unfortunate when we get to adults, no one's really telling us what to do and what not to do. So we've got to do it ourselves. I'm just going to quickly plug my laptop in, guys. I realise it's actually turned off and I just do not want to lose you all. Just give me 1 second. Right. By the way, guys, if you've got any questions about any of this, you can always pop them in the chat if there's anything you want to add. How discipline strengthens neural pathways. I've kind of said this, but consistency is going to be repeated activation of the basal ganglia, which less prefrontal cortex effort needed. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. And I know everyone says that, but from a neuron perspective, it occurs. Like I remember like my first time stepping in the gym, I almost had a heart attack. Like the anxiety was through the roof. Like when you compare it, like it's like you got to imagine yourself there's a bubble around you, and every time you do something hard, it's going to push the bubble and push the bubble and push the bubble to the point where things just don't scare you anymore. Like when I started the Elevate program like 4 years ago, I'd have like one or two people on these calls because I had like three clients, and I'd have anxiety all day about it. Like I'm doing a presentation next week for the NHS, for the doctors and nurses in the NHS. There's going to be 150 people on there, doctors and nurses, and I'm going to be talking about um, hormones. I would have never done that 4 years ago. And that's the thing, the more you do something, the easier it becomes. You know, these group calls, they don't bother me anymore. They really did used to bother me. And it's like anything, going to the gym, eating a certain way. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. When you first meal prep, you've probably all been there. You're there with all your Tupperware and your bloody weighing thing, and everything's really hard, and your brain's like going mad, and you're trying to make sure it's all right. And then eventually, it's just become second nature. And that's what you want with your habits and routines. Winter, you're going to have a low natural dopamine. So discipline ensures that habit still fires and the pathways strengthen. Over time, habits become automatic, which is going to be fewer decision-making taxes and more energy for other goals. Yeah, I'm going to say this to Nikki as well. So, like Nikki's just put, that's why I said yes to the hot seat today. A few months ago, I would be like, no, but it's time to step out the comfort zone. Absolutely. Doing things that scare you or worry you, because I know it's easier said than done. And I know the hot seat, for example, scares people, and it would scare me if I was in your position. But this is the whole thing of keep pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, and then I'm sure after you guys are in the hot seat, it'll probably go away and be quite buzzing because you're like, wow, like I've done something new. And that's what we want, and that's why I want you guys to keep pushing yourself in all the areas as well, because yes, of course, it's going to make you, it makes life easier for one. Like you can walk in rooms and talk to strangers, and the world's your oyster, really. But again, with it making, we want things to become automatic. We want fewer decision making. Every time you have to make a decision, I think of it as like money going out of my bank account, like it's like taxing on the brain. So the less decisions I have to make, the easier my life. Because we've got a lot of decisions to make. We've all got stressful jobs. I mean, I'm going to say mine's more stressful because I've got to deal with you lot. No, I'm joking. But there's so many decisions that I make every single day. The less that we have to think about it, the easier life. And we all want an easy life, essentially, don't we? And that's why having a coach is good, because if you're not being coached, I do all your training program. I mean, that is a headache. It took me 2 hours to program myself the other day, and I know what I like. But why is it so hard for me to do me? Like I know what I like. Um, so practical takeaways. So discipline is the bridge between fluctuation neurotransmitters and consistent results. Winter is the perfect training ground. Habits formed now are going to be effortless in summer. So I see it as a positive. If you can do it now, you can do it whenever. If you can get to the gym when it's dark, if you can do your steps in the rain, yeah, choose the path of least resistance every time because it will make it easier. Your winter success plan. So everyone writing the bullet point for me on the chat. One routine anchor I'm going to commit to daily. It can be anything, something that I want you to do every single day until the sun actually gets out from the clouds. Just something every day that you know is going to help improve your routine. The dog's going to bark, so apologies because someone's coming home. Oh, maybe he's too tired to bark. Maybe his melatonin's out. Morning steps. I'm just, I can't keep myself. Baby, thanks. I'm going to open the door. So morning steps have been a big one. So hopefully we've all taken from that. Brilliant hydration. Yeah, guys, wake up and bloody get that water down you. Again, it's going to really help minimize fatigue. A nutritional shift. What's the nutritional shift that we're all going to do? So something that we're going to do in improve our diet, whether it be meal prep, slow cooker, fiber, fruit, whatever it is, vitamin D, carbs. Yeah, Nikki, carbs. Nikki's in a reverse diet, so she needs a carbs. Meal prep, fiber in, get the slow cooker out. Yeah, Rebecca. Wonderful. So we've all got new things that we're committing to there. And then one thing that lights you up. So like literal emotionally, something that's gonna makes you happy. What makes you happy that you can start doing? have a bath, wash your hair. What makes me happy? My clients sticking to the program makes me happy. Playing instruments. Yeah, love that, Laura. Face mask. Lovely. Bath and a good book. Commit to something every week that makes you happy, guys, because more than anything right now, we need to make sure we pour it into our cup. Having more baths, absolutely. I love a bath. I just feel like with the bath at the moment, because it's so cold, the water like gets so cold so quick. So I start with like this much water because I know I'm gonna have to keep topping it up. Not worse than sitting in a cold bath. Fake tan. Yeah, Rebecca, get some fake tan on. I fake tan the other day. I felt so much better for it. And happy when I've done a good training session. Exactly, Nikki. And that's the thing when it comes to training as well. When you're not in the mood and you can't be asked, which for most people is going to be 50% of the time when it comes to training, just think of how good you feel when you do a good session. And how I think of it is I'm going to be here for an hour, whether it's shit or whether it's good, it's going to take me the same amount of time. Training hard doesn't take any longer. Yeah, if you do shit reps or good reps and you've done 10 reps of each, there's still same amount of time. So you might as well just send it. Yeah, for that time that you're in there. So that's everything when it comes to the winter motivation call. I hope you have all taken something away from that. I'm going to move on to the hot seats. I'm going to talk to a couple of clients, and they're all very different. Everyone's position is very, very different. So we're going to talk about different things. Hopefully give you a little bit of motivation. I'm just going to get up some notes that I've written about each of you guys. So starting off with Meg. Hello, Meg. I can see you already.
Hello.
So Meg's been with me for quite a long time, and I'll just introduce you, Meg.
Yeah.
So recently we reduced, so I'm just looking for the notes that I put on this today. Reduced Meg sessions. So usually with the Elevate program, we train 3 times a week, but we reduced Meg to two. A couple of things happening in life, and we needed a little bit more time back. So we've actually been doing less than we've done previously, but we've actually been getting better results. Certainly recently with things like sleep and stress and some of the problems that were occurring. Because sometimes, guys, you can be doing too much and it can be having a knock-on effect. And sometimes reducing training can help improve other areas of your life, which is going to be more effective for your fat loss than overtraining. So this is actually about focusing on doing less. So just a couple of questions for you, really, Meg. So when did you decide that you felt like you needed less, and how has that helped your results with consistency from moving from 3 training sessions to 2 a week?
Yeah. Basically, I was doing three. So I've been with Sophie since like the end of February, beginning of March. And when I was doing the training and everything like that, everything was fine with the three sessions. And then there were some things that I guess kind of all happened at once. And I was getting really stressed out. And the stress on my body from like not even from working out, but it's like the stress from like just that I was dealing with plus working out, it was like maximizing the stress like and also I wasn't recovering. Like I felt like I was constantly working out sore, and it was like I was starting to feel like I don't want to do this. So before I might have been a bit sore, but I'd be like, okay, that's fine. And you just keep going. But it was to the point where I honestly was like, I don't want to do this. Like, so then I basically was just saying to Sophie, like, there's something wrong because I'm losing the motivation. I'm like actually not wanting to work out because I'm hurting. And then I actually think that the extra stress was like causing inflammation or something. Like it really was impacting um my results. And then I was like, I want to go to 2 days because mentally I knew that that's just what had to happen. But then there was that slight fear of like, is this going to slow down my process? Am I going to plateau and things of that nature? But honestly, the mental health aspects just like weighed out anything else. I was like, I'll deal with it in a couple of weeks when I've like simmered down. But then I've noticed that actually I am still dropping weight and seeing results. And actually, I feel much better mentally. I'm more motivated. The consistency is so much better. Also, too, I'm not sore. Like I'm actually recovering. So it's like I'll work out on a Tuesday. So I did my workout. I'm a bit sweaty, but so I did my workout before. And then now my next one's on Friday. And it's like on Friday, again, like I can give it my all. I can really kind of, start loading on the weights and doing the higher sets of the reps and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so for me it was honestly, it's to the point where I'm like I'm carrying on with the 2 days, and it's really helping me because it's helping me with staying on track with like just the whole routine. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just changed everything.
Yeah, amazing. And thank you so much for that. And I think, like Meg mentioned there, what people don't realize, training is stress and inflammation on the body. The way that we build muscle is we put in our body under a position of stress where we tear in muscle fibers, and then through our nutrition, we recover those muscle fibers and they grow back stronger. So if you're chronically stressed and you've got a lot going on in your life, which is causing you a lot of stress and inflammation, if you add a very heavy training program onto that, you will not recover. So this is why communication is really important, because I only know what I know. And Meg coming to me and saying, "Look, there's a lot going on. Can reduce to 2 a week." We basically, what we've all, or what I've done from a programming perspective, is rather than her being on an upper lower full body, we do 2 full bodies in the week. So she's still hitting all the muscle groups twice. She's still going to make progress. The way that I'm programming her, she's still hitting all the muscle groups. And then what we actually want is pushing hard in those sessions. 2 good sessions are going to be better than 3 or 4 shit ones. Yeah. So that's why more is not always better. And I think it's been a great testament. And when you were going through that period of time, sleep was being impacted, steps have been impacted, your mental health has been impacted. Whereas we obviously just got you checking through today and you were fives across the board. So this is kind of caveat, guys, that more is not always better. And clients that are sometimes saying, "Oh, can I do 4 workouts a week and 5 workouts a week?" And I'm pushing back. This is why, because we don't want to hit burnout. Um, Outside of like training, is there anything particular that you feel, keeps you on track when life gets a little bit hectic? Because I know you do spin a lot of plates in your life.
I think for me, it's really like there's a lot of times I don't want to do things, right? Like I just don't want to do it. But for me, I'm like, you have to. If you don't do it, you're going to get out of that consistency. It's the whole, like you were saying, I mean, I'm seeing results and it's great. And it's motivating and stuff. But again, like the consistency is greater than motivation because it's like you're not going to be motivated every day. So if you just keep going, then you'll keep going. And sometimes I'm like, you know, oh gosh, it's raining. But then I'm like, yeah, but I have an umbrella and I have rain boots. Like, come on, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's been a couple times this week I'm like, and it's funny because one of my friends lives near me. And when I say that, I mean like my neighbor. So then I got my friend being like, let's go on walks. And then my friend's just like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, no, we're doing it. And then now actually we do it every night type thing. So at least now when it's dark, I'm not kind of walking by myself. Cause that's another thing is like, then you're like, oh, it's dark and
Mm.
all this stuff. Right. And so it's just, yeah, I think for me, also too, I do enjoy I don't have a sweet tooth, so that's probably really good. Like for me, I'm not really like a snacker in the sense. I would eat like I like a meal, like I like a meaty meal or whatever it is, and I could eat that multiple times instead of having a meal and then having chocolate or whatever. So for me, I really plan out my meals so that like when I'm hungry, then I'm like eating quite a bit of stuff that's going to keep me full. And I do for kind of like what I consider, I guess, big meals a day. And it totally keeps me going. And it doesn't make me think that, I want anything sweet or I want a snack. And I'm never in that position. Like, I guess the way that I time certain things, I'm never in that position where I'm sitting for too long that I'm bored and I want to just eat for the sake of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I'm so into the whole step thing that sometimes if I'm sitting and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are my steps? And then I'm like, oh, okay, let's vacuum a bit. Let's clean the bathroom. Like, I don't know. I just start, and actually the house is tidier. So that's good. But it's just, I don't know. I have this thing where, like, for me, the food, the drinking, the 3 liters a day, like, it's minimum. The steps, 10,000 a day. To be fair, if there is a day that for whatever reason I just can't get it all and I'm like at 8,000 on the weekend because I don't know, because I'm not doing the extra workout on the weekend. I find that like I'll go for like a nice long walk and I'll get my steps in and I'll feel better about it and I'm not going to be sore. And I've just kind of switched up the routine. And for some reason, it's just really sticking and it's really working for me too, because whenever I would have any form of social or anything like that, I would track it, but I would see it on the scales. And now I was even, I think one night where I had, a couple glasses of wine. And then like another night, I was at like a friend's housewarming type thing, but they said what they were making. And I kind of tracked it all in. And I didn't have like the scales maintained. Like there still was a loss. So I just think that my body is in this point of it's again, I think it's for me personally, it was that extra stress. And now that everything's kind of at a good balance, I can do different things throughout the week and it still not really affect me. But before, I felt like I was scared. I'm like, I don't want to go out because then that's just going to like see it on the scale and then that's going to demotivate and all that stuff. And I just felt like I wasn't really living a life. I was just trying to stay on something that wasn't really serving me. So now I think like I'm in it. I feel much better about it. I feel more like happy to experiment with things and um you know and obviously I trust and I think the way that I feel that it's not going to show up too much on the scale, because even though it doesn't matter, sometimes it does mentally kind of mess you up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. A stressed body will not lose fat. You can do everything in the world, and a stressed body will be very reactive to higher calorie days, higher carbohydrate consumption. And if you're somebody who has massive fluctuations all the time in your scale weight, your body's probably stressed because even if you're metabolically active and you have a larger meal, you're not really going to see the difference because your body's going to utilize and churn through those calories. If you're consistently under eating and putting your body through these extremities, it is always going to be very reactive. And like Meg was saying there, it's just a clear cut example of how that has changed for her, which is obviously fantastic to hear. Just as a last little bit, Meg, like obviously I know you've been with me since just, after the start of this year. Is there any major mindset shifts that you have noticed since you started the Elevate process versus what you were like previously? Because Meg's been on a massive weight loss journey. You'd lost a considerable amount of weight before you joined me, didn't you? So you'd already had massive success with your journey.
Yeah, I was very, I think, well, before we kind of got together and stuff, when I say a good routine, I mean, it was a routine. I don't know how great it was, but it was better than obviously some. And then I was on kind of a good habit of doing good things, but again, um, I was on a good trajectory. And then when I moved, um, like I was so close to the gym that I was going to that like you just couldn't it was 30 seconds, like you just couldn't not go. And then now it's like an hour away, like an hour walk away, because there's no bus and I don't drive and stuff like that. So for me, I immediately was like, I don't want to lose this momentum that I'm on. So that's why I was like, reached out to Sophie and was like, knowing that I work from home, and um and then also to knowing that she would, help train from home and things of that nature. I was like, okay, this is great because it can fit into what I do, and it seems like I can manage it, and things are going to be good for the consistency. But I guess until we started doing stuff, and because we were doing it slowly. So if people are on this call that aren't clients, we're probably talking about all of this stuff and it seems very overwhelming and people are like, nah, I'm out of here, but to be honest with you, I think I started at like 1,000 steps a day and 1 liter of water. I was even drinking more on my own. I was like, okay, I think I can do a little bit more than a liter, but it's so slow that 1,000 turns into 2,000. You're just naturally like, when I got to 10,000, I was just like, I feel like now I'm just doing the normal stuff. I'm walking everywhere. And then also too, I will go actually to where I used to live and hang out with some friends at the gym, or sometimes I'll do the odd class. I know Sophie doesn't really like a class, but for me, it's completely social. It's not part of the routine, but I will walk to that gym, and that gym's an hour. So like there we go with just the steps there, right? So on the weekends, I tend to do a little bit more like long walks and social stuff in terms of like walking and movement. But for me, the steps huge, never really track the steps, but because I work from home, I'm very much sit for a little bit, then I'm like going up and down the stairs, maybe doing some dishes to get myself moving, back up working for a bit, moving again. I'm constantly moving now. And it's really helping with my soreness. It's like if I'm sitting in the chair, like I'm not sore and I work 8 hours a day from home, essentially, I should probably be sore, right? And also I work in the wellness space. So technically I should already have been good, but it's these types of things that have been helping me. So like the hydration, um, my meals, I've always been pretty good with eating, in fairness. But to be honest, my macros weren't where they needed to be, and I wasn't eating enough. So now I'm eating every couple hours, and it's really helping. So there were so many new routines with this, but because they were slow growing, it wasn't a shock. And I find now I'm just very mindful of the things that I do. So if I am going to be sitting for too long, sometimes I'm like, hang on here. Is this rest time? Have I done everything I need to do? Like, and mindful that like I owe this to myself, like I'm doing this for me and I want to be making sure that I'm ticking off everything on the list. Now, sleep, I'm not the worst, but there are fluctuations, especially with kind of stress and things like that. But again, my sleep's so much better than it was. And we're talking about wind down stuff, and also too I'm waking up early on the weekends. I mean, no 7 o'clock, but still, like if I'm waking up at 8 during the week, then I'm still waking up at that time on the weekends. So much great stuff. Sorry, I know I'm going off in a tangent, but like my life has changed for the better, and it's worth putting in the time, and I think it's worth it for ourselves.
Yeah. Honestly, Meg, that was absolutely wonderful. I'm sure so many people are going to be so inspired by that. And it's a pleasure to coach you as always. Thanks so much for getting involved in this. And yeah, you said it better than I could ever say it. So thanks so much for that. I feel like that's a hard one to follow, but now we've got you up next. But thanks so much, Meg.
Yeah,
Um,
no worries.
uh, and then we've got Nat. So just to introduce Nat, Nat most Matt got married the other month. Look how beautiful she looks. I was absolutely gobsmacked when I seen these pictures. And you actually tagged me, didn't you, as part of your wedding crew, which I felt very, very honored to be tagged in.
Yeah, it was Bride's Body by
Yeah,
Sophie. And I
bride's
think
body.
I put your tag. There's another photo where my partner's dipping me and my bicep or tricep look really visible. So I tagged Sophie specifically on the muscle.
On the muscle. But Nat's been with me for quite a long time now. We've gone through many different processes together. We're currently in a reverse dieting phase, a bulking phase, which is very different from fat loss because obviously now the wedding's out the way, it's time to pack on some muscle. Um, Obviously, most of you hopefully will go through this phase at some point in your life where fat loss isn't the goal. So this is completely different. It's a perfect time for Nat because it's during winter. Um, but how have you found the start of this reverse nap from focusing on fat loss majority of your journey and now we're not focusing on it? I know your motivation was quite low in your comments there. How are you finding it?
Yeah, so I think I think it's maybe worth just touching very briefly on the kind of mini reverse that we went through just before the wedding, which was terrifying. But essentially, to cut a very long story short, went through quite an extended plateau, was really struggling. We were on kind of still pretty low calories. And I was about 2 months out from my wedding, which was in France. So I had a legal ceremony a month before that. So I was like a month out from that date. And Sophie was like, I just need you to trust me. And like, we're going to up your calories for the next 4 weeks. And then, we'll start dropping them again. And it was really scary, but we did it. And I started losing weight again while we were upping my calories quite rapidly. Um, and then I went on a kind of, it was made, I didn't even need to cut before the wedding. It was then 4 weeks of maintenance. It was great. So, you know, everyone was assuming that I was going to be this like some starving stereotypical bride. And I was there like, oh God, I haven't eaten enough today. Like, better make some more protein yogurt and granola or whatever it was. But so that was having gone through that made this a lot easier, I think, because I was like, okay, eating more isn't scary, or isn't as scary. But then I guess having said that, actually, it's it is mentally super difficult because the difference now is last time we did it to try and prompt a drop in scale weight, whereas this time the goal is to increase scale weight. And I've spent my like entire adult life trying to not do that. So yeah, I think mentally being like, okay, not only is this acceptable, this is like what we want to happen. Um, was super challenging, and I'm like having Sophie to kind of guide you through it is like I couldn't physically do it otherwise because I think it's just too much of a difficult one. Um, I think I still struggle with the kind of physical impacts of that. Like I don't struggle with the mental thing. I don't care what number I see on the scales now. Actually, I think my weight was slightly down this week and I was a bit irritated. I was like, God, did I not eat enough? Like, have I missed track something? But what I do struggle with still is the feeling of like being a bit fluffy. And like, you know, there was an event the other week and I was like, oh God, I'd love to have worn X dress. But I know that even like when I last wore that and I was like at my leanest, I felt like very conscious in it. So I was like, there's no way I'll feel comfortable in it right now. But that's okay. And I think that's the bit that is still difficult. But then the other real physical impacts, my energy is so much higher. Like I just get to eat a lot more, which is just great. I can relax more with social events. I can fit them in so much more comfortably. Um, yeah. So I think it's
Pros and cons.
difficult. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
fun in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I think what Nat's explaining there, because I know that, Nat's long-term client and she'll probably using some terminology there that maybe a few of you are not aware of, but we can't be dieting forever. Our body has to recover. It's not normal. You can't be constantly putting your body in a calorie deficit because it will stop adapting. So like I said, I put Nat's calories up because she was hitting a plateau. And what happened? She lost scale weight. She was 5 pounds lighter on, I think, 600 calories more per day. And it's because her body was in a mode where it's like, right, we can't lose any more fat. It was deprived. So when I'm offering you guys this advice as clients and I'm pushing, right, you need to eat more carbs, we need to push the calories up. I'm not doing it to make anybody fat. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. And the thing is with Nat now, she's on a longer reverse period. So before where it was like she said to increase scale weight, now we're trying to pack more muscle on. Because if you want a strong, toned, athletic look, if you keep losing fat and there's not the muscle under there to give you that look, you'll keep losing fat and being disappointed with the result. So Nat's obviously trusting me. We're going into a period of time where if our focus is building muscle, so we're not going to see a scale weight loss. But when she does go into a deficit next spring, the fat's going to drop off a lot easier because we've got her metabolically active to a far higher amount of calories. Because obviously we know Nat's prone to fat loss plateaus because Nat is very petite human being, so she has to be on quite low calories to lose fat because she's not got a lot of body mass. Um, uh, Reverse diet. I mean, I'm sure Nat would be happy to share pics, but to be honest with you, Nikki, I think we've had this chat before. A proper reverse diet, you think in 2 years? There's a lot of clients that aren't going to stay with me for 2 years, if we're being honest. Like, most clients are doing a 10-week transformation. So I'd love to give you 10 pictures from before and afters. And I know you're a bugger for it, but you just have to trust me with this, Nikki, because she's on the same process at the moment. I'll be talking to you in a second. But yeah, it's quite hard with the reverse. A lot of people chicken out. They get halfway through, they chicken out because their entire goal is fat loss. And also, as well, a lot of people don't get onto a reverse diet because they don't lose enough fat for that to happen, unfortunately. Because to start reverse dieting and muscle building phase, you want to get to your leanest point. The average client fat loss with me is around 40 pounds, which is going to take about a year. So if you think about it, Nat was never extremely overweight or anything when she joined me, so we didn't have to do a lot of fat loss before putting her in this position. And also when it comes to reverse dieting, I could have a client who's at the leanest point, but they don't train hard enough to go through a bulk phase as well. I know that sounds quite harsh, but to build muscle, you have to train hard. Nat trains very hard. She lifts some incredible amount of weight and she's ready for it. and she will build muscle through reverse dieting phase. If I don't think someone's got the mental capacity to train hard enough, then I'm not going to put them in a surplus of calories because it's not going to be effective. Um, but thank you so much for that, Nat. Of course, keep trusting the process as always, and your results again, delayed gratification. You're building the muscle now, so we can reveal it next year, even though you can't see the muscle now, which I know feels very
Yeah,
disappointing.
I think just that's just to add, that's the kind of other point that's
Yeah.
difficult is like I'm going through a period right now of slightly low motivation in the gym. So it's very nice that you're saying I'm lifting some great weights because it doesn't feel like that. But it's trusting that like trying to trust that you are working hard enough to like not just be basically undoing all the effort that you put in before.
Yeah, and also as well, like, you can still have a shit week in the gym and still build or maintain muscle. Like, I don't want you to panic thinking, oh God, I didn't hit failure on that, or I haven't PB'd this week, and then it's just been a waste of time. Your body of just moving the muscle is going to cause muscle fatigue and breakdown anyway. So you are still going to be building muscle, even if not every single session is optimal as such. Um, but thank you so much, Nat, and thank you for tagging me in your bicep and your wedding pictures. And I feel very chuffed that I got to see the wedding pictures before most people because I got the album sent. Um, and last but not least, Nikki. So as you can see, I mean the pictures speak for themselves with Nikki because look at her for one. Nikki trains from home. Came to me earlier on in the year. Previously doing a lot of Les Mills and home workouts with adjustable dumbbell sets. We've still not set foot in a gym, and obviously you look absolutely incredible, Nikki. Um, and this is an advocate for, how much muscle you can build at any age because I put on my Instagram this morning. Nikki is better in her 40s than most of 20-year-olds walking about these days. Um, so I just want to talk to you, Nikki, a bit about training from home because I know there's a lot of women that don't want to go to a gym or they ain't got time or they've not got the confidence going to the gym. How do you find training from home and how do you stay motivated with having to like pick yourself up and get in that gym and do things and fit it around your schedule? Sorry, you're just on mute, Nikki. I'm just going to ask you to unmute. It's all right.
Okay.
There we go.
Um, for me, it's routine. I mean, as you know, I've trained for a long, long time. Um, and I used to be, and still am to a certain extent, if you don't train, you've got that niggling feeling, feel guilty because you haven't. I started training from home when lockdown hit, bought the Les Mills sort of bar and everything. And I've been lucky enough since we renovated the house and moved to have like a purpose-built gym, just slowly building the equipment up. But I I prefer to get up in the morning and just get it done and train because, like you said, now you're training in the morning. You've got the rest of the day to do what you need to do. Um, and I think because I've trained for so many years, you've got that mindset that that's what I do. But also because you've reduced me down from how many I did used to do. I mean, I was doing what 2.5 hours, like what 4 or 5 times a week, and I was getting nowhere.
I know.
Um,
Were you worried when I said, right, we're only doing 3 a week and it's max like 45 minutes?
yeah, I mean, Tuesdays one, that's always about 45 minutes, but the pictures show the difference. It's I didn't need to be doing that and to be able to not be absolutely knackered all the time because I've got the time to do the other things I need to and not run ragged
Yeah.
around, the kids, the house. It just no, but I know training from home is not for everybody because you haven't got sort of that commitment, sort of getting up, going to the gym, right, I paid for it. But you have paid for it because you still bought all your equipment at home. I mean, those adjustable dumbbells are an absolute godsend.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be able to be lifting the heavy weights that I am if I hadn't have had them off your cousin. I mean, they've been really, really good.
Yeah. And if anybody is interested in training from home, I've got a, a member of a family who sells the adjustable dumbbells at basically at stock price. It's a long story,
Mhm.
but you can't retail them, and that's what Nikki's got, and that's what she's trained with. So she's got no cables, no leg press, no fancy machines. It is just adjustable dumbbells, and I think a lot of people think, oh well, if I train from home, I'm not going to see a result. And I think Nikki's testament to you absolutely can see a result. You can still work hard, you can still train to failure. You just need that discipline to get up off the sofa and go in the gym. And like Nikki's mentioned, Nikki trained 20, 30 years, 20 years at
Yeah.
least, hadn't you trained for, and had trained consistently before she came to the Elevate program. But to sustain the physique that she had at the time, she was mentioning 2.5 hours of training a day, 5, 6 days a week. And this kind of goes in quite well with what we're speaking about with Meg. Overtraining is just as bad, if not worse, than undertraining. And when Nikki came to me and she told me the amount of exercise she was doing, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, we're going to like literally chop this in half, if not more. And the results have been phenomenal, haven't they? I
Oh
mean,
God, yeah.
they've dropped an incredible amount of weight. Obviously, strong. Look how strong and lean Nikki is at the moment. And I mean, with programming, Nikki, obviously I know you're very advanced in terms of your training. It's not like you've come to me not trained before. How does the programming compare to things like you've done like Les Mills and home workouts that you've followed online?
Um, it's totally different in a way because with Les Mills, especially if you've done body pump, it's all about the fast speed, lightweights, getting it up. And I would never have looked like I do now by doing those. That would never have happened. All these people that see those Les Mills instructors and think they've got those muscles like that by doing body pump and combat, it's a load of bollocks. It's not. And even all the years going back to when I was going in the gym, I was never lifting the heavy weights I am now. And I've never had muscles like this before. It's, and it's just proof that what you have us doing, it works.
Yeah.
For anybody that's considering, doing it and any doubts, it just works.
I bet everyone thinks I'm paying you all. I've
No,
actually not told anyone to say
you
this,
can,
but
you
it's very
can if you
nice.
like. But
And when have you gone through any periods, Nikki, of like low motivation or like you can't be bothered? Have you struggled with any of that?
not for going in and doing my training in my gym,
The
no.
training's always been quite consistent for you on
Yeah,
motivation.
I think there's
Yeah,
only been a couple of Saturdays which I've not done on a Saturday because we've gone out for the day,
yeah,
which I've then done it on the Sunday. I mean, I was even doing it the other week with my shin splints, and
yeah,
but I think that comes from having trained for so many years.
yeah,
I've always had that mindset of feeling guilty if I don't do it.
yeah.
So the fact that it's dropped down for like 3 days a week from like five,
Mm,
for me, if I didn't do it, I'm
yeah,
only letting myself down.
yeah. And I think the big thing with Nikki, guys, as well, is like you've got to understand she's trained for over 2 decades. And like she's mentioned, she doesn't struggle with motivation or very rarely struggles. And that kind of proves my point about the neurotransmitters. And the longer you do something, the easier it becomes. Because training for 2 decades, she's not really struggling with motivation or consistency and she trains from home. So that's kind of a box ticked for her. And, you'll do this for the rest of your life
Mm.
now. Like I'll train for the rest of my life. I can never see myself stopping. When it
It's
comes
the
to
habit, isn't it?
it's a habit, and you'll know that your brain's got so used to the rewards that is come from training that now in Nikki, it's just a non-negotiable in her life. It's just a part of her life, and it will always will be. I know that when you came, obviously, we really started looking at like macronutrient balance and things like that, and there was a bit of fear around, food and how much we should be eating and worried of gaining fat. I know that at the moment we're reversing, so we're actually
Mm.
adding more calories, and I think you've gone up a whole pound, haven't you, in the entire time? I know we've been doing it slowly. How have you felt about me adding more food in and actually trying to bring more carbs into your diet? Because I know that's something that you've been a bit
It,
hesitant or struggle with.
it's hard. It's hard getting your head round. I mean, when did I think it was May I started with you, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So since then, you've sort of, been watching what you eat, keeping them all low, but now to suddenly have extra carbs, like when I messaged you earlier,
yeah,
it is hard getting your head around it. But from my point of view, I've just got to trust what you're telling me to do because you know what you're doing. I don't. And it's like you said, it's a simple little thing like just increasing that rice you have with your dinner. Um, and I think, like I said to you earlier, sometimes I think you just overthink it of how
yeah,
you're going to get that extra. But it's all new to me.
yeah,
It is so
yeah.
no.
And it doesn't look like it's all new to you when you look at your physique, but yeah, with Nikki's like one of her reviews, she obviously messaged you and said, "I've got food left. Like, what can I eat?" And then obviously when I did your review, I said, "Look, you need more carbs. We're not thinking about let's having snacks in. Let's just increase the carbs of the
Mm,
carbs you're already eating." And Nikki was like, "Oh, well, I feel like I don't know what you said, but I feel daft like asking that." But that's the thing. That is what I'm here
yeah,
for as a coach. It's sometimes stating the obvious, but
yeah, it
we can
is. Yeah,
overthink these things and overanalyze these things. And that causes decision fatigue by worrying all the time and overthinking it. And Nikki's a perfectionist, if anything. I have to say, look, if you're 5 grams out, it really doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. Um,
tell us off.
In terms of your, Nikki, in terms of like your lifestyle, so since making, quite a drastic transformation this year, is there any other areas of your life that is affected, like your energy levels or the perspective on things? Like, what are the biggest changes you can see from the physical change we've had?
I'm not knackered all the time.
Yeah,
I think that is the biggest thing, just because I don't know, well, what was I running on? I don't know, because I wasn't
nothing.
eating.
Dust.
Yeah, I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't eating the right stuff. Overtraining, just absolutely run down really.
Yeah,
And that, no, it's just, I've got so much more energy. I don't sit there at work. I mean, I only work Monday and Friday, but I don't sit there yawning my head off,
yeah,
which is a big thing. Happy to get up in the mornings, get the training done, get out walking with Ruby, and you know, it's, I don't know, it just feels so different. It's hard to explain in a way.
yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. And I'm
That's all
sure
right.
Nikki's an inspiration to all of us because I mean, I'm pretty sure we're all going to be happy if we look like that in our mid-40s. I certainly will be. Um, and that's everything, guys. So thank you so much for joining. Again, if you're on here and you don't follow me on Instagram, please do so. Or if you're not a client and you're interested, pop me a message on WhatsApp. But thanks so much for your patience, guys. I hope you took a lot from this evening. If there's any other questions on this, please do let me know. And if not, I will leave you to your evenings and get some sleep and wind down. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Soph.
Bye bye, guys.